Chapter 2373. As a result, young Ming was like riding a roller coaster, going up and down. Other than being covered in dust, he did not suffer any injuries. This modified Super Gene Gang voodoo was awesome. Such an explosion could not hurt Yang Ming at all. Yang Ming was pleasantly surprised. Boom, 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 a series of explosions occurred one after another. Dr. Benjamin was packing up when he suddenly heard a loud noise. Before he could react, the ground began to tremble. What's the situation? Is it an earthquake? Or is it a volcanic eruption? Dr. Benjamin was so scared that he quickly ran to the laboratory surveillance camera, ready to see what was happening on the island. Boom, boom, the explosions came one after another. Dr. Benjamin felt that the tremor was getting stronger and stronger. His laboratory was also shaking and falling, and the things on the ceiling had begun to fall down. Boom, there was another loud noise, and the room where Dr. Benjamin had packed his things collapsed and turned into ruins. Finally, under Dr. Benjamin's horror, he also saw what was happening outside on the big screen. The island actually began to explode in a large area. Dr. Benjamin could not see Yang Ming, nor could he see Wang Jitao. He only saw flying sand and rocks and the flames of the explosion. What's going on? Why did the explosives under the island detonate? Dr. Benjamin was shocked and angry. He did not understand what was going on. Why did the explosives he buried on the island explode one after another? No, I have to run away quickly. This was Dr. Benjamin's first subconscious thought. All the mechanisms on this island were designed by him personally. He naturally knew how terrifying the explosions of the explosives under the island would be. It was a domino explosion that could not be stopped. In the next 20 minutes, the island would completely explode. Moreover, this island would also become history. Fire Wolf Island would be buried in the sea and no longer exist. Although Dr. Benjamin's laboratory was still some distance away from the explosion site, the previous residents had already turned a room into ruins. Dr. Benjamin could not guarantee that the next explosion of the explosives would not affect other places in his laboratory. Maybe his laboratory would collapse before the explosion even reached him. Therefore, after seeing all this, Dr. Benjamin stood up and wanted to rush to the submarine's room. He did not want the information and test subjects that he could not sort out. In the current situation, saving his life was the most important. However, just as Dr. Benjamin was about to escape, there was another loud bang. Dr. Benjamin's body shook a few times, and then there was a crash sound in the laboratory. The door of the monitoring room actually collapsed, completely blocking Dr. Benjamin's escape route. Fuck. Dr. Benjamin was stunned all of a sudden. What should I do? Although he was Dr. Benjamin, who could invent and create many strong steel men and cyborgs, he himself was a weak researcher. Not to mention opening the ruins, just packing some hard drives, CDs, and documents just now was enough to tire him out. If it were any other time, Dr. Benjamin could create a biohuman or ask Wang Jitao to open these ruins for him. But now, he was trapped here and could not get out at all. Wang Jitao, calling Wang Jitao. Fire Wolf Warlord, calling Fire Wolf Warlord. Dr. Benjamin began to try to contact Wang Jitao, wanting him to stop entangling with Yang Ming and immediately rush over to rescue him. However, he did not get any response after trying for a long time. Could it be? Dr. Benjamin was shocked, but thinking about it, with such a powerful explosion, Yang Ming and Wang Jitao would have been killed long ago, right? Didn't I want to use this method to activate the explosives to kill Yang Ming and Wang Jitao after successfully leaving? Thinking of this, Dr. Benjamin's heart suddenly felt sad. It's over, it's completely over. I can't get out, I can't run away. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have needed the information. I would have just run away. If I didn't have the time to pack up the information, would have already run away. Now I'm drifting in the sea, right? Dr. Benjamin sighed, knowing that he couldn't escape. He was going to be buried with the Fire Wolf Island Central Base. He also regained his senses. Since he was going to die soon, he had to die, right? He couldn't die in peace, right? This was because Dr. Benjamin was very curious. How did the explosives buried in the central base detonate? How did the Fire Wolf Island explode? Thinking of this, Dr. Benjamin retrieved the previous surveillance video and locked onto the place where Yang Ming and Wang Jitao were entangled. Dr. Benjamin saw Yang Ming smashing the ground with Wang Jitao again and again, destroying the revolving diamagnetic field grid. What Dr. Benjamin didn't expect was that Yang Ming didn't stop after destroying the grid but continued to smash it down. Did Yang Ming do this on purpose? Sure enough, Dr. Benjamin fast-forwarded some of the images and saw the scene where Yang Ming used the sparks from the grid to blow up the explosives. It was really Yang Ming who did it. It was just that Dr. Benjamin was even more confused after confirming this. Could it be that Yang Ming couldn't beat Wang Jitao and chose to die together? But it was unlikely. Yang Ming still had so many family members. If he died, then he continued to watch. Wang Jitao and Yang Ming were blown up into the sky together, but Dr. Benjamin suddenly widened his eyes. This was because he found that Wang Jitao was blown up. This was within his expectations because no matter how powerful the Fire Wolf War God was, he couldn't beat this kind of explosive. But Yang Ming was actually fine. Dr. Benjamin found that Yang Ming was blown up, fell down, flew up again, and fell down again. Nothing happened. This guy is more powerful than the Fire Wolf War God. He's not afraid of the explosive. At this point, Dr. Benjamin finally understood that Yang Ming did it on purpose. It was completely intentional. He knew that Yang Ming wouldn't be affected by the explosive before he detonated the explosives. It turned out to be like this. But how did Yang Ming know that these explosives were buried under the Fire Wolf Island? This was strange. Dr. Benjamin could not figure it out. Suddenly, Dr. Benjamin had a flash of inspiration. He widened his eyes in disbelief. X-ray vision. It's X-ray vision. I know, Yang Ming's special ability is X-ray vision. Oh. Chapter 2374. After figuring this out, why was Yang Ming able to see his action plan at any time? Why was he able to know what he was going to do at every step? Why was he able to blow up the submarine from the surface of the sea? All of this could be explained as long as it was related to Yang Ming's X-ray vision. It turned out to be like this. Dr. Benjamin suddenly regretted it. If he had figured this out earlier, he would not have lost everything. However, this incident also confirmed the truth that an arrogant army is bound to be defeated. Dr. Benjamin was confident that he could undoubtedly defeat Yang Ming with overwhelming force. As for Yang Ming, he was so nervous that he did not dare to go to Fire Wolf Island easily. This formed a contrast. Yang Ming was always vigilant, and he was looking for everything that he could use. On the other hand, Dr. Benjamin completely trusted the Fire Wolf warlord Wang Jitao that he created, but he lost in the end. Boom, 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 there were a few more loud noises, and the picture on the monitor screen suddenly turned black. However, the following explosion affected the camera cable set up in the air, so Dr. Benjamin could no longer see the situation outside clearly. Sigh. However, Dr. Benjamin was also discouraged. After figuring out Yang Ming's special ability, he did not want to think about it anymore. With a sigh, the laboratory collapsed. Dr. Benjamin finally died in peace, but he was unwilling and regretful. However, there was no such thing as regret in this world. Even if he was Dr. Benjamin, he could not invent this kind of thing. Dr. Benjamin died, and the big explosion continued. After the entire Fire Wolf Island exploded, the foundation began to shake, and a large area collapsed. Yang Ming was blown up one after another. Although Yang Ming was invulnerable, his clothes were not good enough. However, his clothes were not working. After several explosions, Yang Ming was almost naked, so there was a magical scene. A half-naked man was flying in the sky. Fortunately, there was no one here. Otherwise, Yang Ming would definitely be embarrassed. About 10 hours later, the sky was already dark. The explosion stopped, and the entire Fire Wolf Island slowly sank to the bottom of the sea. Yang Ming floated on the sea and began to call Dr. Sun Sikong with his glasses. "Grandpa Sun, it's all over. Fire Wolf Island has sunk. Can you save me?" said Yang Ming. "Okay, wait a moment. I'll be there soon." Dr. Sun Sikong's voice came over. Sure enough, soon. With a white light, Yang Ming was sucked into the UFO. "Where to go now?" asked Dr. Sun Sikong. "Back to the hotel. My room." Yang Ming looked at his half-naked body and said helplessly. He could only return to his room in this state. "Okay." Dr. Sun Sikong laughed twice, and his voice was a little strange. "What's wrong?" "Grandpa Sun, what are you laughing at?" Yang Ming asked curiously. "Nothing. He. Dr. Sun Sikong laughed again. This made Yang Ming a little puzzled, but he also knew that Dr. Sun Sikong couldn't lie to him, so he didn't think much about it. The speed of the UFO was quite fast. In the blink of an eye, Yang Ming appeared in his own room in the hotel. There were 2 screams of girls in Yang Ming's room, and Yang Ming was scared to death. There was no light in the room, but Yang Ming could see with his special ability that Alice and Huang Lele were lying on his bed. Moreover, both of them were only wearing thin pajamas. It seemed that they had just fallen asleep. Yang Ming suddenly appeared in the room, so it was inevitable that there would be some movement. Alice and Huang Lele saw a naked man with his back facing them under the moonlight. Of course, they would scream subconsciously. "Ugh, it's me." Yang Ming turned around and said. He really couldn't figure out why Huang Lele and Alice would sleep in his room. Yang Ming thought that there should be no one in the room. He was going to come back and change his clothes before looking for Dong Jun, Alice, and Huang Lele. He didn't expect to see them directly. Yang Ming. When Huang Lele and Alice saw that the person was Yang Ming, they were not afraid. They got up from the bed happily. Huang Lele and Yang Ming had already slept many times, so naturally, she would not be too shy. Although Alice had not really done anything with Yang Ming, the little ambiguity between the two was constant. So although Alice was shy, she did not want to admit defeat with Huang Lele by her side. She stood up and ran over. She hugged Yang Ming with Huang Lele on both sides. Ugh! Yang Ming felt the softness on his arms, and he couldn't help but be a little restless. He and Alice did not do anything before because he didn't want to delay monitoring Dr. Benjamin because of these things. But now that the matter was resolved, there was no scruple, so Yang Ming was not polite. He directly took Huang Lele and Alice into his arms and asked, "Lele, little AI, why are you in my room?" After Lele came back, "I arranged for her to stay in your room. I saw that you didn't come back at night, so I wanted to talk to Lele. Then, you suddenly appeared." Alice explained. In fact, she wanted to have a good relationship with Lele. After all, among Yang Ming's women, Alice was the last to join. She was weak, and she did not have any contact with Chen Mengyan. When she suddenly met Lele, she naturally wanted to consult with her about whether Chen Mengyan and others were difficult to get along with. However, just halfway through, Yang Ming came back. "Ha, that's just right. It saves me the trouble of looking for you." Young Ming said with a smile, "My two wives, it's still early. The night is long, and I don't want to sleep. Shouldn't we do something? You go and take a bath first. Why is there a salty smell on your body? Did you fall into the sea?" Huang Lei smelled the smell on Yang Ming's body and said, "Oh. Ugh. Yes, I have to take a bath first, but why don't we take a bath together? I just finished off the Central Fire Wolf base. They are all dead, but I'm exhausted. I can't even take a bath," said Yang Ming. Huang Lei was fine with it, but with Alice around, it was not appropriate to act on her own. She didn't know what Alice meant. After all, Alice was not Yang Ming's real woman. "Okay, then little AI will serve you in the bath." When Alice heard that Yang Ming had finished off the central base and that Dr. Benjamin was dead, she was excited and relaxed all of a sudden. "Then, let's go together." Huang Lei naturally didn't care about anything. She nodded and agreed. Chapter 2375. Yang Ming was happy that night, but Dong Jun was a little nervous. He didn't know that Yang Ming had returned. He was anxiously waiting for Yang Ming's news and didn't sleep much. The next morning, with dark circles under his eyes, he was ready to call Alice and Huang Lei down for breakfast. He knocked on the door of Yang Ming's room, but he didn't expect that the person who opened the door was actually Yang Ming. "Yang Ming." Dong Jun was shocked. He took 2 steps back as if he had seen a ghost and rubbed his eyes. "I haven't woken up yet. It can't be, right? Dong Jun, you haven't woken up yet." Yang Ming was also stunned. "Oh. It's really Yang Ming. You're back." Dong Jun confirmed that the person in front of him was really Yang Ming and not a dream. He was surprised and happy. "When did you come back? How are things over there?" Because it was at the door of the room, although there was no one in the corridor, Dong Jun said it very vaguely. He only used the things over there to replace the matters of Fire Wolf Island and Dr. Benjamin. It's all over." Yang Ming smiled. "I'll tell you the details later. Wait for Lei and Xiao Ai to get dressed. You can stand at the door for a while." "Ugh. Lei and Xiao Ai are both here." Dong Jun looked at Yang Ming with a weird gaze and some relief. "Xiao Ai stayed here last night." Yang Ming nodded. "Wahahaha." Dong Jun suddenly laughed. "Why are you laughing so weirdly? Is there something wrong with you?" Yang Ming was shocked by Dong Jun's sudden laughter, and his hair stood on end. "I was depressed that I didn't inherit the legacy of my master and became a junior brother from a senior brother. In the blink of an eye, I am older than you." Dong Jun said happily, "Although you are a senior brother, I am now your brother-in-law. You still have to respect me." Yang Ming was speechless. "You are so happy about this. If you're willing, I'll let you do it." Dong Jun was also somewhat speechless. "Forget it, you don't understand my fun. Your life's laughing point is too low." Yang Ming shrugged. After a while, Alice's voice came from the room. "Lei and I are dressed, Yang Ming. Brother, come in." Yang Ming and Dong Jun entered the room together. Dong Jun glanced at the bed with an ambiguous expression and found that the sheets had been removed. He suddenly smiled and looked at Alice. "Xiao Ai, your brother's wish has finally come true. We have successfully set up camp on X Island. From now on, no one can chase us away." Alice was also a little speechless. She blushed and glared at Dong Jun. "Brother, what are you talking about?" Let's not talk about it. Let's talk about Yang Ming." "Yang Ming, quickly tell me about Fire Wolf Island and Dr. Yang Ming. Dong Jun looked at Yang Ming. In fact, this was the result he wanted to know the most. Okay. Yang Ming nodded and described the situation in detail. Last night, Huang Lele and Alice were so focused on sex that they didn't have time to tell them about Fire Wolf Island. Now, they could talk about it together. Although Dong Jun knew that Yang Ming had the super-modified gene gang voodoo, when he heard that Yang Ming tried to detonate sex with himself, he was still shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. Thinking about the explosion of Fire Wolf War God and the central base, and only Yang Ming survived, how spectacular was that? Huang Lele and Alice also looked at Yang Ming with admiration. The process was really thrilling. It's finally over. Dong Jun sighed. I didn't expect that. In the end, we still won. Before you joined the battle, I definitely wouldn't have thought of this result. We should go back. Yang Ming smiled slightly. He was also filled with emotions. During the few months of fighting with Dr. Benjamin, he had experienced ups and downs, but there were no dangers. Now that he returned, he realized that he had been too cautious. Oh right, the Central Command has been destroyed, but are there still peripheral members of the Central Command in various parts of the world? Do we need to eliminate these people one by one? When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. These people are not important people, just like me. They couldn't wait to get out of Dr. Benjamin's control. Who would still be a peripheral member of the central base after the central base was destroyed? Dong Jun smiled and said, moreover, even I can't find them. These people were all contacted by Dr. Benjamin. Now that Dr. Benjamin is dead, everything is over. Yang Ming nodded. This was indeed the case. Dr. Benjamin was dead, and those small fries were left to fend for themselves. They couldn't cause any trouble. In the afternoon, Yang Ming, Dong Jun, Huang Lele, and Alice flew to Donghai City by plane. Before leaving, Yang Ming also called home and reported that he and Huang Lele were safe. Because they would be able to meet soon, Yang Ming didn't say much. Everything could wait until they met. When the women heard that Yang Ming was safe, they were relieved. What should be over was finally over. They could finally live in seclusion on X Island. The women's biggest wish now was to live safely and happily with Yang Ming on a private island. They didn't care about anything else. Sometimes the disappearance of a man could make a woman who was originally a love rival become a good friend. This was a very strange phenomenon. Yang Ming's harem was like this. Chen Mengyan got along well with the others, which saved Yang Ming a lot of effort and time to explain and sort out the relationship. During this time, Chen Mengyan also grew up and understood some truths. It was better to let go of some things. Instead of causing trouble for Yang Ming, it was better to let Yang Ming be happy and feel that he owed her. In fact, this was also Sun Jie's hint to her. Chen Mengyan also knew that Sun Jie was really good for her. This time, Yang Ming's plane was picked up by the women. Because of Huang Lele's relationship with the airline, the women's car drove directly to the airport. This was a big minibus that Fatty found. It could seat a lot of people. Yang Ming and his group got in the car in a very low-key manner and left Donghai City Airport. Otherwise, if Chen Mengyan and a group of beautiful women stood at the exit to greet Yang Ming, it would be too spectacular. Alice, right? I heard Yan Yan talk about you a long time ago. I heard that we are schoolmates. I'm very happy that you and Yang Ming came back together and joined our big family. Chen Mengyan smiled and greeted Xiao Ai, who was a little nervous. Alice was once a business master with a lot of wealth, but in front of Yang Ming, she was a little woman, especially when facing Chen Mengyan. Seeing that Chen Mengyan was as kind as Mengyan said, she was relieved. Sister Meng Yan, I'm also very happy that everyone can accept me. Thank you. Chapter 2376. Hee, we're a family. Don't be too polite in the future. Yang Ming doesn't like it. No pop-up window. Chen Mengyan smiled. At this time, Jing Xiaolu also sat directly next to Huang Lele and said, Lele, you worried me to death. Huang Lele had already learned about Jing Xiaolu's identity from Alice's mouth. At this time, she was also somewhat emotional. Xiaolu, I didn't expect it to be you, but why didn't you say so earlier? You almost scared me. I thought my sister on the internet was a big bad guy. I originally wanted to wait for you to come this time and then tell you. How would I know that Wan Xiaoru is actually a peripheral member of Central? It's also my fault. I misjudged her. I'm really sorry for scaring you. Jing Xiaolu also said with some self-blame. Forget it. I'm fine. I'm also very happy. It turns out that little fox fairy is you. Said Huang Lele. Yeah, but now it seems that when I said that I was playing cards in the company's office and was reported by someone, it should be Wan Xiaoru who did it at that time. Jing Xiaolu recalled the past and sighed slightly. If Wan Xiaoru was really a peripheral member of Central, she would definitely work hard to become a nail around Yang Ming. At that time, Jing Xiaolu and Yang Ming had nothing to do with each other. Wan Xiaoru just used her to please her immediate superiors to get the opportunity to climb up. Finally, she climbed up step by step. It would be best if she became a person at the level of Bao Sanli and Ho Xinhan so that she could directly contact Yang Ming. It was just that the plan could not keep up with the changes. Jing Xiaolu's speed of promotion was too fast. Although she relied on relationships, Wan Xiaoru's goal inevitably shifted to Jing Xiaolu, who was easier to get close to. Jing Xiaolu and she were both colleagues in the company. Both of them started from the bottom, so it was easier to become friends. In fact, this was the case. Since the news that Jing Xiaolu was Yang Ming's woman spread, Wan Xiaoru began to take the initiative to contact Jing Xiaolu. At first, Jing Xiaolu didn't feel anything wrong, but now she thought about it. It should be like this. He really didn't expect Wan Xiaoru to be such a person. But in the future, we will all go to Axe Island. At that time, we will be managing Yang Ming's business. We can't be lazy and play cards. Said Huang Lele. That's for sure. The money we earn is our own family's money. Jing Xiaolu nodded. Yang Ming was amused by Jing Xiaolu's obsession with money. This girl was still so greedy even now. However, this was also her character that had been cultivated since childhood. She was too poor. She was really afraid of being poor, so Yang Ming wouldn't say much. Every girl around him had different characteristics. If they were all the same, it would be a lot less fun. Back at the villa in Songjiang City, Yang Ming held a large dinner party that night. In addition to his own woman, the people he invited were his parents, his uncle Yang Dashan's family, and his cousin Yang Xiaobo's family. Zhang Bin, Zhao Sisi, Wang Mei, Tian Donghua, Dong Jun, Bao Sanli, Ho Xinhan, Gu Jianchao, Bai Hai, and Gu Xinyao. In the end, there was also a fatty to accompany him. Fang Tian and Wang Ruoshui didn't like such occasions, so they didn't attend. The two of them preferred to be quiet now, so they continued to stay in the villa next door. However, when Yang Ming was about to invite his mother's relatives to talk about these things, something unexpected happened. Yang Ming's fifth cousin, who was working at the Ming Yang Property Company, was a relative of his mother's side. He actually secretly transferred the Ming Yang Property Company to his own name while Mother Yang wasn't paying attention. He had already transferred all the company's funds to his own name. The appearance of this matter. Yang Ming was angry and amused at the same time. He knew about this fifth cousin. He used to be sloppy, but later he seemed to have turned over a new leaf. Mother Yang also slowly handed over some of the company's matters to him. After all, they were relatives. Mother Yang saw that her family's younger generation had turned over a new leaf, so she naturally wouldn't not support it. Also, Mother Yang had moved to Yang Ming's villa during this time, so she no longer cared about the property company. He didn't expect such a thing to happen. If it were any other time, Yang Ming would definitely teach this fifth cousin a lesson and then take back his own business. But now, Yang Ming could only mock him for his short-sightedness. For a small property company, he actually gave up a bigger opportunity. It was conceivable that Yang Dehai's relatives would be important when they went to Axe Island. They would manage some companies, and the development would be much better than now. However, fifth cousin lost this opportunity because of some small profits, therefore, Yang Ming simply didn't invite fifth cousin and his family. He would give the property company to him. Anyway, Yang Ming also intended to make a move. He would just treat him as a relative and give him some sponsorship. That night, Yang Ming's relatives, friends, and subordinates were all gathered together. Yang Ming was also ready to tell them about his plan to live in seclusion on X Island. Before this, everyone more or less knew about Yang Ming's plans. At this moment, they were all delighted. Yang Ming also asked them to transfer their businesses as soon as possible. After all, X Island needed a large amount of funds for construction. Although Alice also brought a large amount of funds, it wasn't enough. Before the tourism industry was officially launched, all investments were bottomless pits. These people were also prepared to go to Axe Island with Yang Ming. After all, they were Yang Ming's most loyal friends and subordinates. Yang Ming also needed some of his own people to build his own private island. A month later, Yang Ming and his group took the private plane arranged by Huang Lele and flew to the newly built airport of Axe Island. There weren't too many people to send them off. Only Xia Bingbao and Fatty were there. Fatty had promised Yang Ming that he would look for Yang Ming after retirement. Xia Bingbao, as Xia Shui's brother and Yang Ming's old boss, naturally had to come to send them off. As for Chen Fei and the other family members of the bride, Yang Ming and others had already said goodbye in advance. They were told to go to Axe Island to settle down after retirement or when they had nothing to do. However, the first batch of people who could go were only Xiao Ying's mother, Lin Jiyun, Shen Yushi's parents, and Jing Xiaolu's grandmother. Most of the other girls' parents had things to do, and it would take a few months for them to go. As for godfather Lu Weishan, he chose to stay. He had dedicated his life to his teaching career. He had a different kind of feeling for Songjiang Industry University. He didn't want to leave, so Yang Ming didn't force him. Yang Ming, remember your promise. In the future, if I encounter trouble that I can't solve, you have to help me at any time. Xia Bingbao patted Yang Ming's shoulder. Chapter 2377. Hee, of course, I will remember. Yang Ming smiled and said, also help me take care of Feng Tianlong and Xiao Susu. They are the two people I am most worried about. Don't worry, Yang Ming. When Tianlong comes back, I will immediately help arrange it. Xia Bingbao said seriously. He also heard about the way Lin Dongfang wanted to treat Xiao Susu. He had already begun to prepare to build an ice coffin to seal Xiao Susu and wait for the future treatment. Then I am relieved. Yang Ming nodded. Take care. Xia Bingbao looked at Yang Ming with some reluctance and looked at Xia Shui. Originally, the family was going to train Xia Shui, but now Xia Shui was abducted by Yang Ming. However, Xia Bingbao couldn't say anything. After all, although Axe Island was a private island, if it became a tourist attraction in the future, there must be police to maintain order. Xia Shui was the best candidate to be responsible for this project. The plane broke through the sky and left Donghai Airport. Yang Ming also had a sentimental mood. He looked down at the plane window. This was the place he had lived for 20 years. However, no matter what, this was still his hometown. He would often come back. X Island was the beginning of his new career. There, he had new pursuits and new dreams. Building a world tourist attraction was also Yang Ming's next goal. This was a career that could continue to develop. It was a career that wasn't particularly difficult, but it wasn't boring either. The most important thing was that the future of X Island would not be a dead island. There would be no one else except for his own people. It would be very lonely. In the future, X Island would have a lot of tourists. 3 months later, the sun was shining brightly. Gold list most of the infrastructure on X Island had been built, and Yang Ming's manor had been completed. Yang Ming's manor was located in the center of the entire island, but it was by the sea. There was also another courtyard. These two places were connected by an underground tunnel. These two places would be private property in the future and would not be open to the public. On X Island, the tallest and largest 7-star luxury hotel was decorated with lanterns and streamers today. Whether it was the members of the Ming Yang Security Company, the Black Butterfly Assassin Organization, the Black Butterfly Mercenary Organization, the Butterfly Assassin Organization, or the Charles Assassin Organization, they all acted as waiters today. He was busy both inside and outside. All of this indicated that this day was going to be an unusual day. Today was the day of Yang Ming's wedding. It was a wedding for him and all his women. On X Island, Yang Ming was the owner of this private island, so Yang Ming, as the owner of the island, had the final say on how many people Yang Ming married. Therefore, whether it was Yang Ming's parents or the woman's parents, they were all shocked. The gold leaderboards did not have any restraints in their hearts, and all of them happily accepted this fact. After all, Yang Ming's current achievements could no longer be described with words. To be able to reach such a height, it was not something an ordinary person could do. It was also their blessing for their daughters to be able to marry Yang Ming. Here, their status was no different from the imperial concubines. In the dressing room, several makeup artists were very busy because there were too many brides. Moreover, every bride couldn't be the same, right? If all of them had the same image, wouldn't it be impossible to distinguish who was who? Therefore, the makeup artists could only rack their brains to design their looks according to each bride's characteristics and personality. Gu Xinyao, Xiao Sisi, Wang Mei, and Wang Shui appeared as bridesmaids, but there were fewer bridesmaids and more brides. It was the same for the groomsmen. Yang Ming's groomsmen were Bai Hai, Zhang Bin, Tian Donghua, and Tian Dongwang. However, compared to the ratio of the bride and groom, there were more groomsmen. At 10:00 in the morning, with the sound of the cannon salute, the solemn wedding march sounded. Yang Ming, who was wearing a suit, walked in from the left side of the hotel. Behind him were the 4 groomsmen, including Zhang Bin. Chen Mengyan and others walked in from the right side. Behind them were Zhao Sisi and the other bridesmaids. Because the number of brides was too many, and the wedding was held together, the wedding designer could only choose this way of appearance. If the bride and groom appeared together, it would be difficult to arrange. In this way, it seemed more reasonable for Yang Ming to welcome many brides alone. Brother, you are too cool. This kind of wedding is impossible for me in my life. Yang Xiaobo sat in the front row of the guest seats, so when Yang Ming appeared, he screamed and picked up the ribbon in his hand to spray it at Yang Ming. Yang Xiaobo, what do you mean? Yang Xiaobo's girlfriend, Shenhua, was a little unhappy. If you can be the island master, I will let you marry a lot. Ugh. Can I be the island master's younger brother? Asked Yang Xiaobo. What do you think? Asked Shenhua. Forget it. I can barely cope with you. If I am as healthy as my brother, with the Jin Gang voodoo, it will be possible. Yang Xiaobo shook his head. He was just thinking about it. Having 3 wives and 4 concubines was beautiful, but he didn't have the ability, and he didn't want to fantasize about it. It's good that you know, said Shenhua. Hello, guests. I am Sun Sikong. I am Yang Ming's matchmaker. Without me, Yang Ming can't meet these beautiful brides. Dr. Sun Sikong was the guest host of the wedding today. It was rare for him to make a joke. Yang Ming looked at Sun Sikong and smiled slightly. Others might not understand Sun Sikong's words, but Yang Ming understood it. It could be said that his current life was given by Sun Sikong's magical glasses. Without this pair of glasses, could he be with Qin Mengyan? Could he find Wangshu Pavilion, Suya? Could he get back Sister Lin's heart? Yes. The answer is obviously no. No. Although it was undeniable that without the glasses, if Yang Ming walked the road he had walked, he might be successful, but what Yang Ming lacked was self-confidence. At the beginning, Yang Ming was just lustful. For Qin Mengyan, it was just a fantasy of a rich and beautiful woman. It was impossible to really pursue Qin Mengyan because Yang Ming felt that the gap between himself and Qin Mengyan was too big. However, the appearance of the glasses changed all of this. Yang Ming's glasses could be said to have brought great opportunities and confidence to Yang Ming. It allowed Yang Ming to embark on the road of the strong. Therefore, Dr. Sun Sikong was not only his matchmaker, but also his benefactor. Yang Ming, are you willing to marry? Ugh, there are too many names. Let me take a breather. Dr. Sun Sikong looked at the name list in his hand and suddenly sweated. It attracted a burst of laughter from the guests present. Yang Ming also came back to his senses and quietly looked at the beautiful women opposite him. Each of them had an unusual story with Yang Ming. Even Lu Huamei and Shen Yushi, who he met later, had a lot of things with Yang Ming. Chapter 2378. Yang Ming, are you willing to marry Suya, Qin Mengyan, Lin Jiyun, Lan Ling, Xiao Ying, Sun Jia, Zhou Jijia, Xiao Qing, Wang Lele, Wang Xiaoyan, Xia Shui, Jing Xiaolu, Victoria, Lu Huame, Shen Yushi, Alice, as your wife? Sun Sikong asked in one breath. I'm willing. Yang Ming said resolutely. Well, as for rich and poor, I won't ask. You all have gone through a lot together. It doesn't make sense to ask these things. Sun Sikong was very humorous. Qin Mengyan, Lin Jiyun, Lan Ling, Xiao Ying, Sun Jia, Zhou Jijia, Xiao Qing, Wang Lele, Wang Xiaoyan, Xia Shui, Jing Xiaolu, Victoria, Lu Huame, Shen Yushi, Alice. Are you willing to marry Yang Ming? We are willing. It seemed that they had discussed it beforehand. The girls answered at the same time, and they used the word we neatly. However, it was obvious that they didn't agree on it beforehand. After they finished speaking in unison, they looked at each other with some surprise. But soon, everyone looked at each other and smiled. The girls found that they had lived together for a long time, and their hearts were connected. The very harmonious performance of the girls also made Yang's father, Mother Yang, and the girls' parents relieved. It seemed that they would definitely be happy in the future. They wouldn't be jealous of each other. In fact, this was the problem they were most worried about. As for other things, they really weren't worried. Yang Ming had money and status. The most important thing was that his body was very good. He could take care of so many girls at the same time, so these parents were most worried about the harmony of the harem. Now it seemed that the girls didn't lie to them. It was really peaceful. "Ha, my son is amazing. I can't help but admire him," Yang Dehai said to Mother Yang proudly. "Why? Are you envious of him?" Mother Yang snorted. She could be very tolerant of her son. She could allow her son to find many daughters-in-law, but she didn't allow Yang Dehai to have such thoughts. No. Yang Dehai blushed and quickly denied. "It's best if you don't. Otherwise, when you find a young lady, she will blackmail you." Mother Yang snorted. How long has it been? You still mention it." Yang Dehai smiled bitterly and said, "Today is my good day." "What are you talking about?" At this time, Sun Sikong's voice sounded again, "Bride and groom, exchange your love rings." "Boss, please." Zhang Bin took out a large plate out of nowhere. There were 17 sparkling big diamond rings on it. These were the largest diamonds that old Buffon had specially found his own diamond mine to mine. Each of them was priceless, but he was not stingy to give them to Yang Ming because Yang Ming had officially accepted him as an apprentice. He planned to pass on some internal strength that could prolong his life so that he could officially step into the ranks of martial arts cultivation and become the kind of master that he fantasized in his mind. However, the 17 rings made Yang Ming's face change. 16 brides, why are there 17 rings? What's going on? What's the matter? Yang Ming glanced at Zhang Bin and whispered, "Why are there 17 rings?" "Ah." Zhang Bin was stunned, but then he also found that something was wrong. He understood what was going on after a little thought. "Boss, one of them was sent by old Buffon as a backup. I didn't pay attention to it and brought them all up, you." Yang Ming was a little speechless. Can there be a mistake? However, Yang Ming couldn't hide one in public. Fortunately, Yang Ming was quick-witted and quickly thought of a countermeasure. After a little hesitation, Yang Ming came to Suya with Zhang Bin as usual. "Little Ya, you are the first girl I know, so this ring will be given to you first." Yang Ming picked up one of the rings on Zhang Bin's tray and put it on Suya's hand. "Thank you." Suya smiled slightly, took out a ring, and put it on Yang Ming's hand. "Kiss me, kiss me, kiss me." Bao Sanli, Ho Jinhan, Yang Xiaobo, and others all shouted. Even Sun Haoming, Yang Ming's good friend in junior high school, also shouted. He could be said to have witnessed the love between Yang Ming and Suya, so he was very excited at this time. Sun Haoming had been following Bao Sanli since then, and Bao Sanli also carefully trained him. Now, he could be regarded as a person who could take on a big role. At present, Bao Sanli let him be responsible for the security work of the island's tourist area. Hee. Yang Ming smiled slightly and pecked Suya's face gently. Under the watchful eyes of the public, Yang Ming couldn't give a French kiss, so he just stopped. The second person to exchange rings was naturally Qin Mengyan, but Qin Mengyan didn't have any dissatisfaction because Suya was originally before her. Until now, Suya didn't compete with her for the position of the harem master, which made Qin Mengyan very grateful. In fact, if Suya wanted to compete, she would be the most legitimate candidate. Unfortunately, Suya's mind wasn't on this at all. She had to continue her acting career and be a big star. However, the focus of her career development had shifted to the island. At present, Shuya had become the image spokesperson of Island X. The celebrity effect was very terrifying. If Shuya often held performances here, then the tourists on the island would come in an endless stream. Mengyan, thank you for always being with me. From the beginning to the end, you never left me. You tolerated and even indulged me. I am very grateful. Yang Ming said sincerely. At that time, his special ability hadn't been fully explored, but he had self-confidence. Therefore, when he wasn't particularly outstanding, Chen Mengyan could like him and be with him. It really made Yang Ming feel that it wasn't easy. Chen Mengyan smiled slightly, and her eyes were in a trance. She seemed to have returned to her senior year in high school, to the morning when she scolded Yang Ming for skipping class, to the class when she helped Yang Ming with his tutoring, to the afternoon when she went to the bookstore with Yang Ming, to the dark but ambiguous movie theater, and finally, it stopped at the unforgettable moment of love. The love of the two had twists and turns, misunderstandings, and quarrels, but in the end, success came naturally. Chen Mengyan was very gratified. Yang Ming, I said that if I can only marry one wife, that wife will definitely be you. Yang Ming said, so, in addition to this ring that everyone has, I want to give you a separate ring. This extra ring represents my promise to you. After listening to Yang Ming's words, Chen Mengyan's face suddenly turned red. She was a little embarrassed. There were so many people, but only she had 2 rings. Wouldn't that make others envious? Chapter 2379. Chen Mengyan carefully raised her head and looked at the sisters around her. However, she only saw encouragement and no jealousy. Even Suya smiled and nodded at her. No pop-up window. Everyone, including Suya, knew that Yang Ming and Chen Mengyan were officially boyfriend and girlfriend after they graduated from high school. Suya and Yang Ming were only in love at first, but nothing was confirmed yet. That's why if Chen Mengyan was by Yang Ming's side, it would be difficult for the girls, including Suya, to return to Yang Ming's side. That's why everyone felt that it was normal for Chen Mengyan to be special. Thank you. Chen Mengyan silently extended her hand and let Yang Ming put on the 2 rings for her. In fact, this was also a temporary idea by Yang Ming. He wanted to compensate Chen Mengyan in other ways. For example, tonight, he would go to Chen Mengyan's room first. But since Zhang Bin had prepared an extra ring, Yang Ming would make use of this opportunity. After exchanging rings with Chen Mengyan, Yang Ming came to Lin Jiyun's side and smiled. Sister Lin, you are my first woman. I should have put you first, but now you are the third. Do you have any objections? Why would I have any objections? The third one is already very good. Sister Lin blushed and was at a loss of what to do. Sister Lin, why are you still shy now? Chen Mengyan was a little helpless and pulled Lin Jiyun's hand. You are such a pervert. Luckily, the sisters don't have bad intentions. Otherwise, you would be bullied to death. Lin Jiyun pursed her lips. Although she didn't say anything, she was happy in her heart. That's right. With my pervert, if I was placed in a noble family in ancient times, I would probably be killed by the first wife. But now, he had the backing of his wife. Ling Ling, we actually have another matchmaker. Zhang Bin, you brat, you've done a good thing. Yang Ming came in front of Lan Ling and smiled at Zhang Bin. Ling Ling, how do you think we should repay him? Master, why don't Ling Ling help him find one too? Lan Ling giggled. Forget it, you don't have to repay me. Zhang Bin sweated when he saw Zhao Sisi and Wang Mei's murderous eyes. He wasn't Yang Ming. As Yang Ming's underling, it was already good to have 2 wives. He didn't dare to ask for too much. Teacher Zhaoying, it can be said that the 2 of us have been plagued with misfortunes. It's almost like going to the Western paradise to search for the Buddhist scriptures. However, good things are strewn with setbacks. Finally, we can consider ourselves to have achieved a positive result. Yang Ming smiled as he picked up a ring and brought it before Zhao Ying. Don't call me teacher. Call me student Zhao Ying. I'm your classmate. Zhao Ying said with some shame and resentment. In order to bridge the gap between her and Yang Ming, she resigned and took the GHK entrance exam just to be a classmate with Yang Ming and no longer have a gap. However, Yang Ming liked to act whenever he had nothing to do. Zhaoying didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Sun Jia, we should also thank Gu Jianchao. If it weren't for him, it would be a bit difficult for me to conquer you. Yang Ming was telling the truth. If he didn't push Sun Jia first, then it was almost impossible for Yang Ming and Sun Jia to have an intersection. It's easy for you to conquer me now, Sun Jia said with a smile. You have to be confident in yourself. It seems like I was pushed by you, so I have to marry you. Gu Jianchao wiped the cold sweat on his face. Fortunately, he made a decision in time. Otherwise, he would be courting death if he kept going against Yang Ming. You can sacrifice yourself for me. Even Meng Yan admires this sentiment and won't object. But since you want to stand here, it doesn't matter. In fact, this position is just the order in which we determine our relationship. However, it doesn't matter if there are some differences because in my heart, your positions are always the same. Yang Ming looked at the girl who had been secretly in love with him for many years. He had a feeling of emotion. I shouldn't have misunderstood her. It's okay. Zhou Jiajia shook her head. I'm satisfied to be with you. The people present were all emotional. The love between Zhou Jiajia and Yang Ming could really be described as a love of life and death. Qing Qing, although the beginning between us is a bit bizarre, you have been silently contributing to me, thinking about me, and helping me solve and deal with some emotional problems. Let's have a child. Yang Ming held Xiaoqing's hand and said. Ah. Xiaoqing was very happy, but when she heard Yang Ming's words, she was stunned. Have a child. Doesn't Yang Ming know that I'm infertile? Moreover, most of the people here know about this. Yang Ming still said this. Isn't it embarrassing for me? Hee, I've already found the godly doctor who can cure you. His name is Lin Dongfang, and he's my sworn brother. However, I've already learned his medical skills, so I don't need him anymore. I can treat you. Yang Ming smiled, but there was a hint of regret in his smile. Lin Dongfang couldn't leave West Star Mountain Village for too long, at most a few days, so Yang Ming was afraid of an accident, so he didn't let him come over. As for Lu Yezi, Lin Yi, Xiao Susu, and Feng Tianlong, they all went on their own trips. Yang Ming couldn't contact them for the time being. Xiaoqing was surprised and happy. She didn't expect Yang Ming to have found a solution to the Wang Book Pavilion. Although Yang Ming had many women, and each of them could give birth to his children, Xiaoqing still hoped that she could do it in her heart. In particular, Yang Ming began to cultivate an internal cultivation method for the women. After cultivation, it could delay aging and increase lifespan. Under the effect of voodoo, Xiaoqing's age was actually not a problem. When she stood together with Qin Mengyan, people would definitely think that they were just sisters of the same age. So in her long life, Xiaoqing also hoped to have her own child. Lei, Xiaolu, you two can be together. One is silly, and the other is a gold digger. You can actually become good friends who talk about everything. You both became my women. Life is really magical. Yang Ming smiled and took out 2 rings and put them on their hands one by one. Wow, big diamond ring. Lei, I'm rich. Jing Xiaolu said happily. Huang Lei was a little speechless. Doesn't Jing Xiaolu have a lot of wealth now? Why is she still so greedy? Yang Ming was also a little speechless. Jing Xiaolu is now a rich woman, but she is still so greedy. Chapter 2380. Yan, we are officially married. We have already held an engagement ceremony. We have said everything that needs to be said. You are better than Meng Yan. Yang Ming said to Wang Xiaoyan with a smile. No pop-up window 89 read net, hehe, I am your officially married bodyguard. I protect all your women. Wang Xiaoyan glared at Yang Ming and laughed. Everyone knew that Wang Xiaoyan was joking, so they were not annoyed. Instead, they found it very interesting and laughed. Victoria, this is your ring. Don't call me master in the future. You are free now and equal to everyone. Yang Ming handed the ring to the beautiful woman, Victoria. Although Victoria had become more cheerful during this time, she still called Yang Ming master. Yes, master, Victoria said happily as she took the ring. Yang Ming was speechless. Xia Shui, congratulations. You have finally realized your life's dream. You have found a super long-term meal ticket. Now, let me give you a meal ticket. Yang Ming put the ring on Xia Shui's hand. It's not easy. It has finally been realized, Xia Shui said emotionally. Lu Huamei, although you came here through an exchange of benefits, we have developed feelings for each other after getting along with each other. Yang Ming looked at Lu Huamei with a smirk and put a ring on her finger. Lu Huamei naturally understood the meaning behind Yang Ming's words. She glared at Yang Ming shyly. However, she was different from Yang Ming. She had fallen in love with Yang Ming long ago. Otherwise, how could she develop feelings for him over time? Shao Shi. I am very happy that you have become one of us, Yang Ming smiled and gave the ring to Shin Yushi. Brother Yang Ming, Yushi is so happy. I have finally waited for this day. Shin Yushi knew in her heart that her relationship with Yang Ming was not very strong. Yang Ming only wanted to give her the confidence to persevere. That's why he agreed to be her boyfriend. However, the two of them have a more solid foundation than Lu Huamei's relationship, right? If they could develop feelings for each other over time, it would be even more so for her and Yang Ming. Shao Ai, it's your turn now. Are you in a hurry? Yang Ming picked up the last ring. He asked with a smile. I'm not in a hurry. Good food isn't afraid of being late. Generally speaking, the concubine who enters the house last is the most favored. Alice smiled. Haha, I'm sorry. To me, everyone is the same, Yang Ming said with a smile. That depends on who is the best at seduction. Alice smiled seductively. She looked at Yang Ming with blurred eyes. Ahem. Yang Ming was a little speechless. At first, Alice was too embarrassed to seduce him after changing her identity. However, after a long time, Alice became the previous Alice again. However, Yang Ming's current resistance was also very strong. Naturally, he would not be fooled. Next, the bride and groom will propose a toast to the guests present. Oh. Sun Sikong's voice sounded again because the exchange of rings took too long. Even though Yang Ming had already made it short, it still wasted more than an hour. Therefore, the other wedding arrangements such as the bride and groom speeches and the groom's elders' speeches were not arranged. If the elders were to speak again, it would probably take until the sky turned dark. However, at this moment, a voice sounded, "Wait a minute, there's still me." This voice caused everyone present to be stunned. They did not expect that someone would dare to interrupt Yang Ming's wedding. However, the one who made this voice was a girl who seemed to be 17 or 18 years old. Her figure was a little thin, but her eyes were big and full of spirit. She was very beautiful. However, if this girl was not so beautiful, Chen Mengyan might not feel anything. However, when Chen Mengyan saw that this girl was so beautiful, and she even spoke to stop the wedding, her heart skipped a beat. However, on the surface, Chen Mengyan was still very friendly and looked at the little beauty who stopped the wedding. "Little sister, what's wrong? What's the matter? Brother Yang Ming, can you marry me too?" the little beauty asked very boldly. Chen Mengyan frowned slightly and glanced at Yang Ming, who was somewhat overwhelmed. She sighed in her heart. This is most likely the love debt that Yang Ming had in the past, right? Why didn't you bring her back together? You even want her to abdicate at the wedding. However, no matter how angry she was, she couldn't vent it on Yang Ming at this moment, let alone the little beauty. At this time, she should show the demeanor of the mistress of the harem. She was the mistress of this island, so she still had this kind of bearing. Little sister, maybe Yang Ming was negligent and left you behind, but it doesn't matter. Sister still supports you. Chen Mengyan had the idea that family enmity couldn't be made public. No matter what unspeakable secret between Yang Ming and this little beauty, she must accept this little beauty at this moment and clean up for Yang Ming. It just so happens that sister has an extra ring. I will give it to you. As Chen Mengyan said, she took off the extra ring on her hand and handed it to the little beauty who was excitedly walking over. After the little beauty took the ring, she was very happy. Only Yang Ming was speechless. What does it have to do with me? Yang Hua, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why don't you come down? A male voice also sounded at this time. It was Yang Ming's former friend, Fatty Li. Previously, Yang Hua suddenly stood up and walked to the stage. Her sister, Yang Mei, didn't know what to do. She quickly called Fatty Li, who was in the toilet, to come out. As a result, Fatty Li was shocked after hearing it. He quickly ran over to stop it. He didn't expect things to have developed into this situation. No, sister, brother-in-law, I like it here. I like this island. I also like brother Yang Ming. I want to marry brother Yang Ming. In this way, you can also move to this island. You don't have to live in fear like before. Yang Hua said stubbornly, and sister has already agreed. Fatty Li suddenly became silent. Yang Hua had always disliked what he did. At this time, she suddenly stood up and made this decision. In addition to having a crush on Yang Ming, she also wanted to help him and her sister break away from the previous life. However, could Yang Ming accept it? Chen Mengyan also realized that something was wrong at the moment. She seemed to have misunderstood something. This little beauty didn't seem to be Yang Ming's woman. Yang Hua, if you want to stay on the island with your sister and brother-in-law, it's not impossible. After Yang Ming was stunned, he said with a bitter smile, although we are not relatives, we are also surnamed Yang. I recognize you as my god-sister. You don't have to marry me, Sister Mengyan has already agreed. She gave me a ring. Yang Hua raised the ring in her hand and said stubbornly. Yang Ming looked at Chen Mengyan speechlessly. Chen Mengyan also knew that she had misunderstood. She was embarrassed and stuck out her tongue at Yang Ming. However, the wedding must go on. It couldn't be in a stalemate, so Chen Mengyan could only make the best of it. Yang Ming, why don't you let Yang Hua participate first? Anyway, you will slowly cultivate your relationship in the future. There are many cases of god-sisters becoming lovers. Anyway, you have done it before. Chen Mengyan said. Mengyan, are you praising me or insulting me? Yang Ming was helpless, but since things had come to this point, he could only make the best of it. This small incident did not affect the wedding. Next, the bride and groom toasted the guests, but there was an additional Yang Hua on the bride's side. Although she did not wear a wedding dress, it could be seen that Yang Hua also dressed herself up carefully today. Her appearance was not inferior to other women. Fatty Li and Yang Mei were invited to attend the wedding. As for Yang Hua, after Yang Ming brought her back to China, he asked Bao Sanli to contact her uncle's house. However, her uncle firmly disagreed with the girl moving in. In the countryside, a man could be used as a labor force. If a girl came, wouldn't they have to spend money to support her? Since this was the case, Yang Ming did not insist. He casually arranged for Yang Hua to stay with Bao Sonli to help with the office's clerical work. As a result, he did not expect that Yang Ming could also be secretly loved so far away. At this point, Fatty Li and Yang Mei were only happy. They actually envied Yang Ming's relatives and friends who lived on this island, but Fatty Li knew that his relationship with Yang Ming had not reached that point, so it was inappropriate to mention it. He did not expect Yang Hua to stand up and solve it directly. Whether Yang Hua married Yang Ming or became Yang Ming's god-sister, then they could stay on the island logically. Fatty Li had long been tired of his previous job and wanted to retire. Now that there was such a good opportunity, why not? The wedding banquet lasted until 10:00 in the evening. The guests and the host enjoyed themselves to their heart's content. The last step of the wedding was for the bride and groom to enter the bridal chamber. However, there were so many brides. Who should enter the bridal chamber first? Just as Yang Ming finished changing his clothes and was hesitating, he found that the brides were gone. Yes, Yang Ming glanced at the bride's dressing room and found that it was empty. Didn't they say that they would wait for me to finish changing and discuss the matter of entering the bridal chamber together? Yang Ming was somewhat helpless. He glanced at Bai Hai and Gu Xinyao who were next to him. Where are Meng Yan and the others? Sister-in-law Meng Yan and the others went back to the manor first. We can't stop them. Bai Hai smiled bitterly. Forget it. I will go find them. Yang Ming looked up at the direction of the manor, but he saw a scene that made him excited. All the brides were actually in a room. This was a situation that Yang Ming never dared to imagine. Who is that? Yang Ming wanted to rush over excitedly, but he was shocked to find that Yang Hua was actually among them. This. Yang Ming suddenly hesitated. Should I go or not? At this time, Yang Ming's cell phone rang. Yang Ming saw that it was Chen Mengyan who called, so he picked up the phone. Husband, you come to the bedroom on the top floor of the manor. I will wait for you here. Chen Mengyan said calmly. This. Yang Ming clenched his teeth and stomped his feet. If I'm wrong, then so be it. Chapter 2381. In the blink of an eye, Yang Ming had spent 5 years on Island X. Yang Ming's eldest daughter had been born. This was the fruit of his and Wang Xiaoyan's love. He gave the girl a name, Yang Xiao. In fact, Xiao was also a homonym of Xiao in Wang Xiaoyan's name. Originally, Yang Ming wanted to call her Boss Yang. His first child was the boss, but it was a girl. It was not very nice to call her Boss Yang, so he directly called her Yang Xiao. 89 ReadNet. However, the 4-year-old Xiao didn't seem to like this name. She always liked to call herself Xiao Qi, which meant that she was ranked Xiao Qi among Yang Ming's disciples. Yang Ming's eldest disciple was the son of Lu Yezi and Lin Yi, codenamed Ling Yi. However, neither Yang Ming nor Lin Dongfang told him about his origin. There was no other reason. After Lu Yezi and Yi returned to their planet Yanhuang, there was no news. Dr. Sun Sikong couldn't get in touch with them, which made Dr. Sun Sikong very worried. Because of Lu Yezi's request, Dr. Sun Sikong wanted to build a cultivation cave in the original West Star Mountain, so Dr. Sun Sikong and Mo Kongwen stayed behind. Lu Yezi and Lin Yi drove the flying saucer back to planet Yanhuang first. At first, Dr. Sun Sikong could still contact Lu Yezi, but after Lu Yezi and Lin Yi left for a while, Dr. Sun Sikong's contact with them was suddenly cut off. This made Dr. Sun Sikong, Lin Dongfang, and Yang Ming very worried. In order to prevent Ling Yi from being worried, Yang Ming and Lin Dongfang simply lied to him. They said that he was picked up. Otherwise, If Ling Yi asked about the whereabouts of his parents, Yang Ming and Lin Dongfang would not be able to explain. Dr. Sun Sikong, after transforming the cave, began to build another flying saucer, but this was not something that could be completed overnight. It was not until the beginning of this year. Dr. Sun Sikong completed it. As for him, he immediately controlled the flying saucer to fly to planet Yan Huang, wanting to see what was going on. Although Yang Ming was the same as usual every day, playing with his wives and teaching his disciples kung fu. However, anyone could see the trace of worry on his face. Yang Ming, don't worry. Grandpa's son is blessed by the heavens, and so is Lu Yezi. When we were in Miaojiang together, we had survived so many dangers. What else can't we overcome? Xia Shui was someone who had been to Miaojiang together, so her relationship with Lu Yezi was naturally better. Seeing that Yang Ming was worried, he comforted him. Hey, even a little bit of news would be good. Grandpa's son has been gone for more than half a year, and there is still no news. I don't know how he is doing over there. Although Yang Ming had retired, he was a person who would do anything for his friends. If something happened to Lu Yezi, he would rush to support him immediately. However, he didn't know what happened to Lu Yezi and Grandpa's son. Just as Yang Ming was worried, a white light flashed in the sky. Suddenly, a white light flashed in the sky. Yang Ming was too familiar with this light. It was this light that saved him from the sea after the explosion in the center. This was the light of the flying saucer. Sure enough, a flying saucer slowly landed in the yard. Yang Ming saw this familiar flying saucer and was very excited. They are back. They are finally back. It has been half a year. There is finally news. The cabin door of the flying saucer slowly opened, and Yang Ming and Xia Shui happily greeted it. However, only Dr. Sun Sikong came out of the flying saucer alone. Lu Yezi and Lin Yi were not there. Grandpa's son, you are back. Where are Lu Yezi and the others? Yang Ming asked quickly. They are fine for the time being. Dr. Sun Sikong said directly to reassure Yang Ming, but anyone could see that he was frowning. It seemed that he had encountered a very difficult thing to solve. Let's find a quiet place, and we will talk about it in detail. Okay. Yang Ming nodded and took Dr. Sun Sikong to a secret room in the manor. Xia Shui took the initiative to leave. Dr. Sun Sikong must have something important to discuss with Yang Ming. Yang Ming, Lu Yezi and Yi are in trouble. After entering the secret room, Dr. Sun Sikong said straightforwardly, we met an old enemy. Old enemy? Yang Ming was slightly stunned. Sure enough, Lu Yezi is in trouble. Otherwise, it is impossible for there to be no news for such a long time. The key is, who is the old enemy? You should know him. His name is Li Buliang. Dr. Sun Sikong said with a wry smile. Li Buliang. Yang Ming was slightly stunned. It was a little unfamiliar. He frowned and finally remembered who the owner of this name was. However, Yang Ming was a little stunned. Dr. Benjamin's subordinate. The remnant of Central. Li Buliang, the former president of the Computer Association of Songshan Engineering University, pursued Zhou Jiejia. Later, he kidnapped Huang Lele, but Yang Ming didn't care at the time. He was just a peripheral member of Central, a small character. Yang Ming didn't expect him to cause trouble for Dr. Sun Sikong. He is not Dr. Benjamin's subordinate. Dr. Sun Sikong shook his head. He is one of the biggest opponents in the old master's life. Dr. Benjamin is his subordinate. No wonder Dr. Benjamin was targeting me. I didn't know him, and I was very puzzled. Now it seems that all this was instructed by Li Buliang. What? That Li Buliang is Dr. Benjamin's leader. Yang Ming's eyes widened and looked at Dr. Sun Sikong incredulously. Really? Of course, it's true. Dr. Sun Sikong said with a wry smile, regarding the grievances between Li Buliang and the old master, you can read the master's biography, very pure and very ambiguous prequel, also called Chasing Beauty After Rebirth, which records the grievances between the old master and Li Buliang in detail. I really didn't expect. Yang Ming sighed. Where is this Li Buliang? Is he out to cause trouble again? Yes, he actually built a new central base on the four-dimensional space channel to Yanhuang Star to block the incoming flying saucers. Whether they come here or go to Yanhuang Star, they are all blocked in the central base of the channel. However, the central base of the channel is one way. The old master on Yanhuang Star can't attack this central base, nor can he enter the central base. This central base of the channel can only be entered from here to Yanhuang Star. Dr. Sun Sikong explained, the young master is blocked in the central base of the channel and is fighting a bloody battle with Li Buliang. That Li Buliang is so powerful? Yi Si has the Jin Gang voodoo and the simplified version of the Herculean voodoo, right? Can't he do anything to that Li Buliang? Yang Ming asked with some surprise. Chapter 2382. Li Buliang himself isn't that powerful. He's neither a cultivator nor a martial artist. He's just an ordinary cyborg. He only has the ability to live forever. He's only slightly more powerful than ordinary people. He can't even compare to the Fire Wolf War God. Dr. Sun Sikong said, however, his science and technology are quite powerful, not worse than mine. He used to be a computer scientist and was an overseas student. He also inherited alien technology. It can be said that Dr. Benjamin is not as powerful as him. His technology is comparable to mine. So awesome. Yang Ming looked at Dr. Sun Sikong in shock, then he also relied on some scientific means to fight against Yezi. Yes, he got an alien creature and transformed it into a biochemical mother beast. This biochemical mother beast can constantly produce biochemical little monsters. The growth of these biochemical little monsters requires the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Dr. Sun Sikong said, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth absorbed by these little monsters comes from planet Yanhuang and earth. They rely on a special formation to gather the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Haven't you noticed that the spiritual energy of heaven and earth on earth has become thinner and thinner in recent years? This is true. I thought it was caused by industrial pollution. I didn't expect it to be Li Buliang's doing. Yang Ming was surprised. Wangshu Pavilion, yes, when these biochemical little monsters reach a certain number, Li Buliang will drive these biochemical little monsters to planet Yanhuang and carry out a large-scale counterattack on the master's planet. Lu Yezi is now hunting these biochemical little monsters day and night to barely maintain the balance of the number of biochemical little monsters. Dr. Sun Sikong nodded and said, but since the beginning of this year, the biochemical mother beast has undergone an evolution. The number of biochemical little monsters produced has more than doubled. Little Master can't cope with it. I happened to go there, so Little Master asked me to come back and ask for your help. So that's how it is. Yang Ming took a deep breath. He didn't expect Li Buliang to be so powerful. He was a genius who invented this biochemical monster. However, Yang Ming was a little worried, since it has more than doubled, even if I help, will the manpower be enough? Not enough. Dr. Sun Sikong shook his head decisively. We need more people, and the mother beast will evolve. When it evolves again, the number of biochemical monsters will increase again. Then what should we do? Yang Ming looked at Dr. Sun Sikong. Since Dr. Sun Sikong came to him, he must have thought of a solution. Do you have a solution here? There are, but there aren't that many people. If I can contact the old master, then there won't be any problem. However, Li Buliang is also very smart. He has cut off any connection between this place and planet Yanhuang. Whether I use radio waves or the space jump of the flying saucer, I can't break through his four-dimensional space barrier. This time, he is guarding it tightly. I don't know if the old master knows what happened here. Dr. Sun Sikong said, so, after many failed attempts, I invented a human body strengthening medicinal liquid. As long as it is injected into the human body, it can strengthen and transform the human body, and the strengthened and transformed people can barely reach the level of Little Master. Although it is not as high as Little Master's defense, it should belong to a relatively high level among human cultivators. At least the attack power is on par or even higher. Dr. Sun Sikong said. Oh. How high? Yang Ming was slightly taken aback. He didn't expect Dr. Sun Sikong to invent this kind of thing. It exceeds the strength of the so-called peak of the late heaven stage in the cultivation world. Dr. Sun Sikong said, it should be equivalent to the masters who have just advanced to the innate realm in the heavenly realm. Master of the heavenly realm. Yang Ming looked at Sun Sikong with some shock. Isn't this medicinal liquid too awesome? However, Yang Ming was still a little worried. Does this medicinal liquid have any side effects? No. Dr. Sun Sikong shook his head and said, this is to stimulate the potential of human cultivation through the normal way. However, there is also a limit to its use. Not everyone can use it. Oh. What do you mean? It must be used by a specific person? Yang Ming asked. That's right. Only those who have already reached the peak of the late heaven stage can use it. After using it, they can smoothly advance to the innate realm and officially step into the heavenly realm. If a normal person uses it, there is only one end, their body will explode and they will die. Peak of the late heaven stage. Yang Ming was shocked. He thought about it and asked, can I use it? Even if you use it, you won't be any stronger than you are now. Dr. Sun Sikong smiled bitterly and said, also, your super-modified gene Gangu has a passive defense. It will be more troublesome to inject the medicinal liquid into you. Oh right, have you grasped the method to turn off the passive defense ability? I've grasped it a little, but if my body feels pain, I still can't control it. For example, when he was shaving. Otherwise, he would have turned into an old man with a long beard. Although Yang Ming purposely made himself look like a middle-aged man, full of dignity, he couldn't turn into an old man, could he? That's why we still need you to find the peak of the late heaven stage masters. After all, this isn't just our problem. If we let Li Buliang do this, then the heaven and earth chi here will be absorbed by his teleportation formation, and the practitioners here won't be able to train at all. Dr. Sun Sikong said, that's why this is a problem for the entire practitioner world. But how to talk to them, how to get them to come with us to the central base, that's your job. That's true. Yang Ming nodded after listening. I also know some things about those cultivators. They don't care if it doesn't concern them, but this time it is also related to their future. They should not sit idly by. Moreover, if they have a chance to be promoted to Tian Dao, they should be more than happy to do so, right? I'm just afraid that these people won't believe me, so we need to find someone who can intimidate them. I thought about it, and you're the only one. Even if they don't go, they can't do anything to you. If I go, I'm afraid that I'll be beaten to death. Sun Sikong smiled bitterly. Chapter 2383. Yang Ming nodded. He didn't have a good impression of those so-called ancient sect practitioners. They were all so arrogant, but in fact, they only had a little bit of weight. How arrogant was the Supreme Elder of the Dark Palace? In the end, didn't he still admit defeat? Moreover, on the plain, Yang Ming also met some descendants of the ancient Feng family. They were also arrogant, but they were just so. Gold ranking, so this matter was just right for Yang Ming to do. They had to go, even if they didn't want to. After pondering for a moment, Yang Ming thought of a good way, and that was to go with Lin Dongfang. First, take down some evil ancient sections. If you go, then not only will you be fine, but you will also have the chance to advance to the Sky Dao. If you don't go, then sorry, you can only die. Anyway, you are full of evil and have done a lot of bad things. As an assassin, Yang Ming didn't have any psychological burden to kill an evil person. Only with this kind of deterrence, he could make those arrogant peak late-stage heaven rank masters admit defeat and make them willingly follow him to help Lu Yezi resist the central attack. Yang Ming really didn't expect that after he destroyed the central base of Fire Wolf Island, he would encounter an even bigger boss again. And he had to fight for this matter again. But at this moment, Yang Ming's mentality was completely different from before. After living in seclusion for 5 years, it was time to find something to do. Gold ranking, okay, leave this matter to me. Yang Ming nodded and said, I'm going to go with Brother Lin Dongfang to find these people from the ancient sects. Sun Xikong was slightly stunned and understood Yang Ming's meaning, but he didn't say anything. It was an emergency, and it was absolutely impossible to not use some thunderous means. So, Yang Ming was the most suitable person to do this, then I'll leave it to you. Sun Xikong nodded and patted Yang Ming's shoulder. He said with a heavy heart. Grandpa's son, don't worry. Yang Ming smiled. A few days later, Yang Ming secretly went to the West Star Mountain village and found Lin Dongfang. Two people who had not seen each other for a long time suddenly met. Naturally, they had a lot to talk about. However, this time, Yang Ming looked for him to talk about serious matters. But it wasn't idle chatter. After plotting for an entire night and contacting Yuan, they obtained a list of all the ancient sects and their power distribution. Yang Ming and Lin Dongfang both decided to start with the most notorious of the ancient sects, the Everyday sect. This sect was known as the Devil's Sect, so Yang Ming and Lin Dongfang decided to start with this sect. Golden Lish, the only portion of Swift Cicada Goo's medicinal liquid that was soaked in spring water, was used by Lin Dongfang. This portion of Swift Cicada Goo's medicinal liquid could last for 15 days each time it was used. Although it wasn't enough to drink a few mouthfuls, it should be barely enough for this trip. In front of the Everyday Sect's mountain gate, Yang Ming and Lin Dongfang had just appeared when they were surrounded by two patrolling disciples. Who are you? What are you doing? Trespassers, stop. Everyday Sect. Yang Ming looked at the two patrolling disciples in front of the gate and said indifferently, I'm looking for your sect. Heaven class peak late phase expert, come out and talk. Kid, I think you're here to cause trouble, right? The patrolling disciple heard Yang Ming's tone and was instantly angered. Where did you two come from? Where did you hear that we have a heaven class peak late phase expert? Hurry up and fuck off, stop talking nonsense here. Otherwise, I'll kill you. The patrolling disciple couldn't be blamed for being angry. He thought that Yang Ming was a rogue practitioner who came out of nowhere and wanted to see a heaven class peak late phase expert. If he could see one so casually, wouldn't that be great? We're looking for him. If you don't call him over, then I'll cause trouble. Yang Ming frowned. This concerns whether or not they can break through the sky path. Ha! What big words, break through the sky path. Who do you think you are? You dare to cause trouble in our Everyday sect. A deep male voice rang out, and a middle-aged man in black robes suddenly appeared in front of Yang Ming and Lin Dongfang. Behind him, there were two other men who were similarly dressed. This man was the current head of the Everyday sect, Patriarch Guanglong, and behind him were his two juniors, Guangbao and Guangnyo. The three of them had just finished sparring and were strolling around the sect when they heard a commotion outside, so they came out to see what was going on. Yes, in reality, they all treated what was happening at the gate as a commotion. I know, your ancient sect's heaven-class peak late phase experts are pursuing the sky path. Now, there's a chance I can help you reach the sky path, but you have to cooperate with us, Yang Ming said. You? Help us reach the sky path? Are you kidding me? Boasting shamelessly. Kuang Long sneered and looked at Yang Ming mockingly. Do you know what the heavenly Tao is? Do you know how to reach the sky path? What a joke, scram as far as you can, don't cause trouble here. Patriarch Kuanglong, is it? Yang Ming frowned and his expression became serious. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Come with us now, and I will let bygones be bygones for the evil deeds your sect has done in the past. Work together and step into the sky path. Moreover, the thing you want to do is for the entire cultivation world. If you don't go, then I'm sorry, the evil deeds you have done in the past are enough for me to kill you without any psychological burden. I need to make an example out of you. Unfortunately, you have become my target. Brat, I've already warned you. Since you don't know what's good for you, I don't care who you are, you will stay here today. Patriarch Kuanglong was furious. Previously, he did not directly kill Yang Ming because Yang Ming was able to find the library pavilion. This was enough to prove that they were not ordinary people, but people who knew about the ancient sections. It was very likely that they were also from other ancient sections. But now that he heard Yang Ming's shameless boasting, he laughed sincerely. Who do you think you are? Are you from the Ancient Sect Arbitration Association? There doesn't seem to be such an organization, right? Oh, I can set it up without it, but I don't have the time to manage it. Yang Ming said indifferently, so, you're not going to cooperate, right? Cooperate? Go to hell. Patriarch Kuanglong made his move. He could no longer be bothered to talk nonsense with Yang Ming. He directly raised his hand and a soft whip lashed out at Yang Ming like a wild dragon. Paw! The soft whip hit Yang Ming's body. However, in the eyes of Patriarch Kuanglong and the others, Yang Ming must have been decapitated. Only then did they realize that Yang Ming was actually fine. Chapter 2384. Brother Lin, since this person is so stubborn, then let's do it. Yang Ming said indifferently. No pop-up window. Lin Dongfang nodded and walked to the side of the shocked ancestor Kuanglong. He suddenly punched, and with a loud bang, Kuanglong was sent flying by Lin Dongfang. He flew dozens of meters away before landing heavily on the ground. He suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and stopped breathing. This was the result of Lin Dongfang not daring to use too much strength. After all, the swift cicada goose nutrient liquid was limited. He and Yang Ming still had to go to several ancient sections. It was impossible for him to use up all his strength in an instant. He had to drink the nutrient liquid to replenish his strength, so he had to take it easy. Dumbfounded. Everyone present was dumbfounded. Kuang Bao and Kuang Niu both looked at the scene in front of them in shock. They could not believe it. Return my senior brother's life. Kuang Niu was the first to react. The true qi on his body suddenly went berserk as he attacked Lin Dongfang. Although Lin Dongfang had taken the complete version of the Vajra voodoo, after taking the complete version of the Herculean voodoo, they offset each other, so Yang Ming didn't dare to be careless. He quickly blocked in front of Lin Dongfang and easily took the move of the Raging Bull Patriarch. Bang! Yang Ming did not move at all. He looked at Kuang Niu indifferently and said coldly, "Are you coming with me, or are you going to die?" Kuang Niu, come back. Kuang Bao spoke at this time. He looked at Yang Ming in shock. You are an expert of the Tao of Heaven. You can understand it that way. Yang Ming said indifferently. You came back from the Heaven Stage Island. Kuang Bao was in disbelief. Currently, there were still experts of the Tao of Heaven outside the Heaven Stage Island. What Heaven Stage Island? Yang Ming was slightly stunned. It's nothing, looks like it's not. Kuang Bao smiled bitterly. So, there is a way to advance to the Tao of Heaven without going to the Heaven Stage Island. Forget it, I'll go with you. But Kuang Niu is only a late-stage expert of the Heaven realm. He hasn't even reached the peak of the late stage. He doesn't need to go even if he wants to. Yang Ming shook his head. I only want peak Heaven class masters, the others are useless. Patriarch Wild Leopard nodded and heaved a sigh of relief. Now that Patriarch Kuang Long was dead, only he and Patriarch Kuang Niu were left. If both of them left, what would happen to the Tomorrow and Everyday sect? The next generation of disciples who could shoulder the burden had yet to mature, so Patriarch Wild Leopard also wanted Patriarch Wild Bull to stay. The next target is the Holy Fist Palace. It was said that the two masters of the Holy Fist Palace did not put the ordinary masters of the peak of the late stage of the Heaven rank in their eyes because of their Heaven-Earth Fist. They were very hated. Is everyone blaming him for being too heavy-handed? Yang Ming glanced at the information on his phone and said faintly, if that's the case, then the next target is him. I want to see if he can kill me, or if we can kill him. Patriarch Wild Leopard, lead the way, so that we don't have to look for him according to the map. Yes. Patriarch Wild Leopard nodded quickly. After he knew that Yang Ming and Lin Dongfang were masters of the path of heaven, he did not dare to disobey. Masters of the path of heaven. Killing them was a piece of cake, and if he served them well, he could also be promoted to the path of heaven. Why not? A day later, in front of the Holy Fist Palace. Invincible Boxer, unparalleled Boxer, are you here? Masters of the path of heaven have arrived. Why don't you go out and welcome them? Patriarch Wild Leopard shouted. He was quite professional as a lackey. If it was someone else who shouted, they would have been beaten to death by the patrolling disciples of the Holy Fist Palace, but the one who shouted was Patriarch Wild Leopard, one of the three patriarchs of the Tomorrow and Everyday sect. The patrolling disciples also knew him and did not dare to neglect. They quickly reported to the two patriarchs of the Invincible Boxer and Unparalleled Boxer of the Holy Fist Palace. When the two patriarchs heard that Patriarch Wild Leopard of the Tomorrow and Everyday sect had come, they both frowned, but they still rushed out immediately. Wild Leopard, are you here to challenge us? Why? In the Heaven Stage Martial Arts Trial Assembly 2 years ago, you lost to our Holy Fist Palace. Are you not convinced? Now that you have recovered, you are here to challenge us. I think you have not suffered enough, and you want to go back and lie down for a year to recover, right? The Invincible Boxer was an external expert with the strength of the peak of the late Heaven Stage. His divine fist could split mountains and seas. Naturally, he was much more powerful than the internal experts with the strength of the peak of the late Heaven Stage. Last time, he also punched Patriarch Wild Leopard out of the arena and went back to lie down for a year to recover from his injuries. Therefore, the Holy Fist Palace was arrogant and unreasonable. Even the Heavenly Elixir sect did not dare to provoke the Holy Fist Palace. When the Holy Fist Palace came to ask for elixirs, they did their best to cooperate, so the reputation of the Holy Fist Palace was very bad. Challenge us. Don't do those useless things. I don't have time to talk to you about this. I don't even bother to challenge you now. Do you know who I am? I am now a follower of a master of the path of heaven. Now it is my master of the path of heaven who is looking for you. If you don't want to die, be honest. Patriarch Wild Leopard said disdainfully. Master of the path of heaven. At this time, the invincible boxer and the invincible boxer turned to look at Yang Ming and Lin Dongfang. There was a trace of surprise in their eyes. You are masters of the path of heaven. It was no wonder that they did not believe it. Their tone was a little disrespectful. After all, the masters of the path of heaven had disappeared in this world for thousands of years. Otherwise, they would not have valued the opportunity of the Heaven Stage Islands so much. Therefore, they were very suspicious of the masters of the path of heaven who suddenly appeared in front of them. I'll give you a chance. Punch me and then come with me. If you don't go, I'll kill you. Yang Ming did not have time to talk nonsense with him and said directly. Hit you. Okay. The invincible boxer readily agreed. Since someone came to die, how could he not help them? Senior brother, let me do it. I, a peak of the middle heaven stage, can beat this kind of guy who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Why do you, a peak of the late heaven stage, have to do it yourself? The invincible boxer said. Okay, then you go. Let's see what this mad leopard is up to. The invincible boxer nodded calmly. However, he soon lost his calm. 10 minutes later, the invincible boxer followed Yang Ming and Lin Dongfang down the mountain with a face full of shock and admiration. They went to the next target, the Heavenly Pill sect. In half a month, Yang Ming and Lin Dongfang finally managed to run through all the ancient sects and families. Aside from the Heaven Stage Masters who did not believe that they were killed by Yang Ming and Lin Dongfang, everyone else gathered around Yang Ming. And the further they went, the easier it got. At this time, Yang Ming and Lin Dongfang had gathered a large number of Heaven Stage Masters around them. They were all famous figures of their sections. With them around, Yang Ming did not have to waste time talking. Only a few stubborn ones were killed by Lin Dongfang. After sending Lin Dongfang off, Yang Ming took these people and got on a private plane to X Island. Lu Yezi, hang in there, your old friend is here to help. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.